Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of Cooking with Unity with Max, Phil, and Jeffrey. Look, it's on the screen.
It is.
Totally put your name on the screen. So, and actually, I didn't. It was actually one of our fans put your name on the screen for me, and
nice.
I totally just used that. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I didn't. I always don't look up the names. I had actually forgotten this had been done until I just saw it. I'm just like so excited, and now I don't remember who sent it. So I'll give props somewhere later. Thank you though. Seriously, saves me some time. And actually got Jeffrey's name on there because I'm so lazy. So we're going to switch to the main screen. And so this is going to be a weird one for me because I don't know how I want to deal with this. So I was informed on the last episode that this is actually on a Call of Duty map. And I looked up the map, and it is indeed very much based on a Call of Duty map, down to every single piece of text, every single placement of an item, with the exception of our wonderful targets here. And yeah, the only difference is, now, it's not a rip from the game, so that's the only positive I can say, is that it's different textures. They didn't rip the product, they actually just went and built textures that was very similar to that.
Oh, they basically just recreated
the level. And so it's not, so like, from an asset pack standpoint, you could still use this in places as long as you didn't use the level. Unfortunately, we were using the level. And unfortunately, I don't really want to spend the time relaying out the level to make it so that it doesn't break copyright, potentially. So I've downloaded another pack. This pack is called Set Builder Hong Kong. It is also free. This link will get you there. I had to use the this asset store link thing because the actual asset store, if we go to there right now, I was actually surprised I was able to even get this to download. It looks real great right now. Like, the asset store is looking real hot today. Wait till you see this. Maybe you won't see it. Maybe it'll just be great. Nope, it's not going to be great. Wow, it's really taking its sweet time. Probably because we're choking out the upload. Alright, well, if this did show up, it would look like Web 1.0. Let's just put it that way. It looks like a flat list. You can't really scroll too good. It's not doing pretty happy right now.
I have to close out of that. I'm going to see if there are alternate chat methods in YouTube.
They don't. You're gone.
I know.
Alright, well, this is boring, so I'm not going to show that anymore. So, we got this Hong Kong pack that we're going to use for now. And hopefully it's not based on another game like Midnight Run or something, you know. It would just be irritating. But, so we're going to go into the sample here, and we're going to hit play. It actually is a really good looking scene. So they got environment maps, so you got the reflections on, like, the glass and stuff. It looks cool, and you've got, like, this car thing that looks cool, and there's a bunch of little hallways so we can put some enemies in and stuff, so we can note out a level on this pretty quickly. But in the interest of not just repeating what we did last time, where we just noted out during the whole level, what I want to do is kind of make our systems a little bit more robust, so that we don't have to just kill things to advance. So we can have, like, time-based advancement or event-based advancement or other such things. Someone had asked me how you would handle an elevator. We don't have an elevator in this scene, but we can at least show kind of pausing and starting gameplay. And I'm going to try something really stupid first. Actually, let's see if this will work. This is probably not going to look too good, but let's don't save this. And open up the hangar again real quick for our last hurrah.
That is so lame about the comments.
Yeah. So lame about the what?
Comments.
Oh, yeah, the comments,
I didn't have to stream the video to be involved with the discussion.
So I'm going to grab the player and the nodes and the enemies, and we're going to copy them, and we're going to just put them into this level, and then maybe modify them to make them feel good. So let's go to the scene. Let's see what the level looks like. Where do we actually start? So
this one's based on the Shanghai area from Human Revolution. Maybe, I don't know if that's true.
Is that true?
I don't know. Says I doubt that's true, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It certainly does kind of look like that. It doesn't look exactly like it, though. It actually has more signage than Human Revolution does. I think I would recognize Human Revolution, quite honestly.
Yeah, you played that game a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it is Hong Kong, which in both cases they're Hong Kong. So Although it all says China here, so I don't know. I mean, I guess Hong Kong is in China, but... so where's our player? First-person controller. Here he is. I just wanted to see where we throw him in on this level.
Well, that level's big.
Yeah. So this whole setup is unlike the other one, which is all the models are fully fledged models. This is actually a facade modeling technique. So like each of these pieces is actually a facade piece that you can move around. So you don't render anything that you don't need. So like there's all this empty space back here that actually just is not stuff. So
this is actually something you encounter a lot in games.
Yes,
too.
very much so. It's less common in the open world type of games and more common in the old school quote unquote,
the
more linear games. Yeah. Or racing games for that matter. Like you could build out like a racing track with facades.
Do the roofs have
and
textures?
I think the roofs aren't there. I think there's no roofs. Yeah.
Yeah. This is it's also another thing you're going to encounter a lot if you use this kind of technique.
Yeah.
Because you aren't typically ever going to see the roofs unless you're going to be in a flying style game. In which case, this one is probably not going to be.
So I'm just going to hit paste and see where that puts our things by any chance. Okay, they're all over here where they're not useful. I'm just going to drag them so they're kind of in the scene here. And I'm going to turn off the lighting so that we can see... Oh, the lighting doesn't change the fogging. That's stupid. So I'm just going to drag this. Is this all we did? Seems so lame.
It looks so little.
It's so small.
Well, that other level was tiny.
Yeah, that level was tiny. So let's just see how this looks if we just hit play. Just hit play on this stupid thing. Oh yeah, and we need to get rid of the other first-person controller first. F-I-R. There we go. Delete.
We should put all the China into its own.
Yeah, let's do that before we forget. So we're going to take the whole China.
China don't.
And we're going to create... okay. Actually, let's create the game object first. Create empty game object. 0, 0, 0. And then we're going to throw all of China into it.
China don't care.
So, China, bam, and then throw it all into game object known as Hong Kong.
Phooey.
Kong Streets.
That's what I have to say.
All right, so now we just have our items, and then we have Hong Kong Street, so we don't worry about. There's a lot of lighting in this.
Yeah, I was about to say.
That's actually kind of a surprising amount of lighting.
Oh yeah, that totally worked. The flash block thing worked. Look at that.
What flash block?
It basically
perfect.
blocked the flash plug-in.
Smart. All right, so you have a way of getting the comments without downloading things. That's nice.
Yep, that is very nice.
So we go over here, we like shoot a target or something, and we like shoot another target, and then we like shoot this target.
Targets.
Oh, that level was much more cramped than I realized.
Yeah.
And then we have the target that appeared, and we look at it. Cool. All right, so everything works.
So now that I don't want to ignore anyone, but there was a comment from before the video that says any chance making a game loop in this episode. Like enums for game start, game progress, game end?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're not going to do them as enums ever, but we might do a level that's the game start level or something, and then have some other things like that. But yeah, I mean, you can use enums for state holding, and we're actually going to do some enums for some state stuff today. But generally, I think it's a best practice in Unity to actually utilize the scenes. So if you have something that's like a pre-game state, that should be a scene. It shouldn't be built into the same scene. Sometimes people intentionally avoid that because they want to, like in the case of your game, Phil, you have one scene, right?
I only have it. My game's a single scene game.
And it's a simple enough game that you can get away with that. But also, it means that you don't have to load in additional stuff as things go in. And that can be a big deal on Basic, especially because in Unity Basic, you have to pause to load. Like if you load a level, there's a pause. It's not usually a very long pause. You can actually still have the music running during a pause if you have it on a singleton, but it is a pause. If you are running Unity Pro, you can actually do some fancier things and actually do asynchronous loading and stream stuff or have interactive elements while the game is actually loading. But as that's a pro feature, I'm going to be avoiding showing that on this show for now, at least. We've been focused mostly on using Unity basic features.
Yeah, I used everything. Basically, I'd load in everything.
Yeah, right at the start.
Yeah.
So,
Can you look at one of the lights?
okay. Which light? What are we doing?
Any of them. I just want to see if they're actually lighting or if they're just there because they were being used for baking or something.
They might be used for baking. I think that might be why they're red, but let's... Oh, wait, no, they're probably red because... Where is that light? It's in the sign. Okay, no, it's not in the sign. Is it in the sign?
Light.
It is, yeah. It's in the light.
Sign.
No shadows, light mapping auto. So, yeah, it's being used as a real-time light.
Nice.
I mean, it used as a baked light as well, but it will exist in the scene as a real-time light. So if we were to put a sphere here, like we just created a
static?
sphere. Nope. Oh wait, sphere's not. Hold on. Oh, it is marked as static. So maybe not. Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, actually we can test it by doing this, and we can see that there's... Is there any light on... Oh, there is light on that sphere. Is there light if we go into the game and look at that sphere? I think there is. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's being done for both. So, like, if we were to go into the light here... Where is it? This sign. And we were to set the light mapping to baked only, then we wouldn't see the real-time lighting on here. Now, it might not matter that much, because Unity defaults to vertex lighting for the most part, when... with the exception of like one or two lights. Like if you go to the project settings, what is this called? Quality. You'll notice that the default is good for web and download, and so this is like PC stuff. And then for mobile, it's on simple. And on good, you get 2 pixel lights. So those are 2 true pixel lights, where each pixel is calculated for the proper lighting. And then you get only 1 on simple. And all it means is if it's not a pixel light, it'll be defaulted to a vertex light. There might be a maximum number of lights too internally. I'm not entirely sure how that works, but vertex light, basically the difference is vertex lights light each vertex of the object that it's near, which doesn't look as smooth, especially if you have like really long non-broken polygons. Like if you just create a plane using a quad and make it huge, you won't see any lighting in the center of that plane because there's no vertex in the center of the plane. There's just a line through it. So, but at the corners the lighting would work, but only at the corners.
Yeah, because it's lighting per vertex.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
To explain that stuff. All right,
Sorry
so
about that.
I'm going to put this back to just auto for now. And we're not going to worry about it. So, what are we doing? We hit play. We got stuff going on. Let's make it so we can do some more fancy stuff. So right now, how do we have this hooked up? So we've got advanced on no children. We've got node movement. I'm going to preferences, quit better snap tool here. How do I want to reorganize this so that we have more options? So right now, the way we have this set up is a move to next node automatically rotates us towards the next node, moves us to the next node, and then rotates us towards where that node is facing. So that way we can basically define, just using 2 nodes, we can define a path for the player.
Yeah.
And he'll end up where we want him. So, how can we make this more robust? May have to refactor some of this. Our node is very simple. It just contains a node. That's it. That's all it does. And then it draws stuff for us, but this is really not needed for the game at all. This is just editor niceness. And then we have advance on no children, which this is how we've been advancing the game so far. So anytime that you get to a node and the child count goes down, yeah. So,
well, maybe we should discuss first what kind of advancement types we want.
Yeah. Honestly, I think I'm going to actually keep this layout, and that way we can just make different advancing directives, and it'll do things the way we want it to. So,
So instead of an
let's do an
advance
advance on
no
time.
script,
Yeah, let's try an advance on
there will
time.
be a bunch of advanced
Yeah, yeah.
scripts.
So I'm going to duplicate advance on no children. We're going to call this advance after time. Actually, let's do advance after delay. That's what I'm going to call it, delay. And so this is, that's not it. We want this one. There you go. Advance after delay. And node movement, player node movement. So this is the thing that we just magically pull from the player, so it doesn't really matter. We kept it as a public in case we wanted to manually set that, but we really don't have to because we automatically pull it from the player if it's not there.
Yeah.
So all this does is if chance from child count is less than or equal to 0, then we move. So what we're going to change on this one is this one's going to be set up slightly
Apparently there's
different.
Stuff
Void
going on
start.
in Hong Kong right now.
Is there stuff?
Riots, protests.
Oh yeah.
They don't like us using their assets.
That's why they're rioting.
Yeah. News
That's so
travels
confusing
fast.
on so many levels.
All right, so be gentle with releasing stuff that is Hong Kong related. If like this stuff can generally, if you're in India, you don't have to worry about it too much. But I mean, I've seen really stupid stuff in the games industry. So I've built our Omega Strain, for example. We originally had a level that was based on Canada, and we couldn't use Canada because there had been some terrorist thing in a train tunnel that was similar to the one that we were doing.
I remember that.
And so we had to change it to a fictional city called Carthage, Michigan, because we didn't want to revoice everything that said CDN. So yeah. So things happen in game development sometimes. So
That's fun.
what are we doing? So advance after delay. What are we doing? We're going to go to start if... actually, no, not if. All we're going to do is start... So the nice thing about the one we have here is... Okay, so here's where our problem is. We need... So our current flow is we have node movement that handles the movement. We call a move to next node whenever we want to move to the next node. And so we can just do that call anytime we want. Now, the thing is, in advance on no children, it's really easy. We can pre-populate all of the children in this thing, and we can have the script active the whole time, and then as soon as all of those children die, that sounds horrible, it will move us to the next node. So delay is a little bit trickier, because we could create a delay, but the delay might... If we have this on the start when the delay happens, we have the problem of it will start the moment the game starts if the script exists. So we have to, if we do this, set this up this way, we have to actually spawn this in under certain circumstances. So we'll figure that part out next. But let's just get this one written real quick first. So void start. What are we doing? We're going to do invoke. Advance F. Well, just advance. Advance. Is that how you spell it? Yeah, that's got to be
Advance.
good enough.
ADVANCE.
Advance, and then we do delay. And we didn't actually define delay, so the fact that it's not working with me is really understandable. So we're going to do public float delay equals 1.0 f. We'll just do that as the default. And we don't need update anymore. We're just going to need void advance. And all we will do is player node movement move to next node. Now we also need to have this check in there as well. So, and then we get rid of this update. So this will give us a delay, but we need to have a way of actually spawning this in. So our nodes. Should we put it in the node? No, let's not put it in the node.
We could have all the nodes disabled at startup, and then when the player finishes their coroutine getting to the node, they turn on or enable current node or something. Waking all of the scripts that are on it.
Yeah, I like that. I kind of like that. So there's a couple ways we could do it. We could do it where we do it as like a trigger, where we just put a trigger around the node, and when we walk into it, it does something. We actually set that up for our look at script at the end of when we were rushing through the end of the episode. So if we go to node 6 right now, there's this little trigger box, and when we get there, it spawns an additional target that we then look at. And the reason we did that is because we had this look at me script that had the same problem that we're running into right now, where in start, it would just start its coroutine. It doesn't have a delay or anything, just as long as it exists, it does things. So we had to spawn in the object with this attached to it. So that's one way we could do it. We could make it more explicit, like Jeffrey's suggesting, where when we reach to our goal, we do something special here, like at the end of the move to goal operation. Or at the end of the rotate to goal, the second rotate, however we're doing this. Which I think might be cleaner. So, how do we want to do this? Let's make it so we have their node, right? Let's make it so that we activate all children when we get to a node. That way we don't have to keep the nodes deactivated. And it allows us to organize things that we want to activate when we reach a node. And we don't have to use any additional collision stuff. We can use the logic that we already have. So let's do that. And let's try that with the thing that we were doing here with the target spawner instead of what we did before. So this target spawner, the way this works is Gib on collide. Oh, wow. Special Gib target for real. Wow, this is a hack job if we've ever done one. So what's happening here is the target spawner is actually using, and then Gib on collide is creating an object, and that object is what we're using to do
target,
stuff.
Yeah. I remember that now.
So let's grab this special Gib target for real and put it underneath node 6. And we're going to turn it off. And we're going to get rid of this target spawner script. We don't need this one anymore. We're going to see if we can do the same logic as we did before, just with our code here. So once we reach our goal, so if we're not doing the initial rotation, so else. So what we do here is we do, if initial rotation, we do move to goal, and then move to goal calls rotate to goal without the initial rotation, and then it falls through. But we actually want additional logic here where we enable everything that's on this new target node. So so it's current node, I think is what we're calling it. So for each transform, let's just call it trans, in current node.get components in children. Let's not do it that way.
Are we doing mono behaviors or transforms?
Dot transform. We're doing transform because what we're doing is we're just going to enable all objects underneath.
Are we
So we're going
enablers?
to have so we'll have the mono behaviors on your own object.
Yeah. So all we'll do is we will make trans dot set active. Oh wait, no, it's actually game object that has it, isn't it? Wait, for each transform.
Enable.
Yeah, so transform dot. Yeah, there is no enable for transform. You can't disable transform. So transform dot game object dot enable. So dot set active.
They used to be enable, right?
No. And game objects has always been, well, okay. It used to be dot active.
Aha, yes.
And then they changed it to dot set active. And then they also have fancier one dot set. No.
Is active or something?
Active. Okay, so they have active self for checking to see if you're active. But this is actually not, this doesn't do what you think it does. Likely. This is what actually does what you think it does. Active in hierarchy finds out if you actually are active. Now, the reason there's a difference, I'm going to go over this because this is confusing, but it's important. So, since Unity 4.2, 4.0, somewhere in there, they changed it so that we were using set active. And the reason they did this is you can have sub-objects. See how this object is disabled right here? You can see it's disabled because its parent's disabled. That makes sense. But if you look over here, its checkmark is not disabled. If we were to ask this object at runtime,
Active
active self, it would totally say, yes, I'm
Yep,
totally active. But what you probably want is active in hierarchy, which means am I active or is all of my parents active? And if that is the case, then that will work. Let's turn off these stupid things.
At least that's easy to turn off.
Yes. So yeah, we want transform.gameObject.setActive true.
Can you do transform trans in current node.transform?
Oh wait, not transform. Sorry. Yeah, you can absolutely do that. Trans.
And that returns.
So what that returns here, I'll show you. And this is tricky.
Of all the children.
Yeah, it returns all the children. Transform Unity. Let's see where they hide this in the documentation, if they even mention it at all. Static functions. Yeah, where does it actually say it? Oh, it says it right here in the example because they didn't know where else to put it, so they threw it right in the top example. So you can they support enumerators, so you can loop through children using for each transform child in transform. So, and actually, let's do child. I like that, child. It doesn't matter what you call it, but we're gonna go with that. And this, if I'm not mistaken, this will only give you the immediate children. So, like, this won't loop through the children of children and stuff. And so, in our case, that'll work fine for these purposes. But if there's some case where you need that to be recursive, you can basically just call this recursively. You can set this up as a function and then call itself on the next children. Should I show that? No, we're not going to use it in this episode, so let's not show that.
You could also have Unity do that by doing git.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
So let's see if this still let's see if this still spawns a thing and looks at a thing at the end. So we're going to shoot these things. Got a bunch of little problems in our setup here, but... Alright, so shoot that. And it did. It actually went in the right spot. That's cool. I wonder what the difference was.
We weren't spawning it in script. Turning it on now.
Good point. Very good point.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because our Gib thing was probably spawning it with quaternion identity because we tend to be lazy. So that's probably what happened. As a matter of fact, let's check that. I just am curious if Gib on collide spawns with... Yep, there it is, quaternion identity. That was our problem. So, cool. We didn't care, but we did care. But now we've got this thing working. And actually, now we can actually clean up our game a little bit. So remember, at the start here... For some reason, I don't know why it starts moving immediately now. It didn't used to do that. Let's look at node 1 enemies. So this is advanced on no children. It has children. Node 1, next node. And what node do we start the player at? Where's the player?
Oh, the player's in a different place
Player.
than the
There we
first
go.
node.
No, peace out for the first node. So we go to first node. And... For some reason, he's advancing right at the start. Why is he advancing right at the start?
What is the object that node 1
Yeah, it says its
uses
current
for
node is node 2 right there, too.
Yeah, because
Look
it
at that.
just changed. I mean,
Yeah.
it changed when we go to the real time, so... What was that? Jeffrey, sorry.
What's the object that node 1 is using
So,
for children?
node 1 is...
Oh, there.
Oh, wait, I know what's happening. We've got node 6 enemies, which doesn't have anything in it, and is calling in advance. That's what's happening here.
Oh, that makes sense.
So if we hit play right now, that should fix that problem. Yay!
Because
That works.
Yeah,
we should
because-
probably rewrite that function so that it activates. Or actually,
If
we're
there
going
are
to turn it
children?
off, so it is only going to activate when we get to
Yeah.
that.
So
Anyway,
actually, let's clean this up now so that now we don't want to see all the targets when we reach an area. Now what we've set up here, now we can actually have some more dynamicism too. So we can actually make it so that when you get to a point, we can start spawning like dudes that walk across or timing elements or things like that. So let's just really quickly reorganize this. So node 1, we're going to put node 1 enemies underneath it. So let's do that. Node 1. And we're going to keep those enabled right at the start. And then node 2 enemies we'll put under node 2. Node 3 enemies we'll put under node 3. Node 4 enemies we'll put under Node 4, and I really should,
We should
get
put
the
those in order,
alphabetizing.
too.
What is that? Hold on.
Numeratizing.
Unity alpha.
Numeratizing?
Alphabetical order. Sort hierarchy by alphabetical order.
Question mark?
There's totally a way to do it. They added it, but for some reason they didn't just make it a default script, which they should have. That's not what we want. That's not the good one. There we go. Base hierarchy sort. This is what we want. So if we throw this into a script, not going to name it just yet because we'll pull the name from here. Paste this in. Grab. I'll call it that. We'll save, and then we will rename this to alphanumeric sort. Forget if we have to put this in the editor or not, in an editor folder. Let's hit play real quick. Nope, we don't have to put it in an editor folder.
Showed up.
So this is the thingy that showed up. So now instead of transform sort, we can do alphanumeric sort, and now we don't have to worry about it, which is great because we've been naming our things appropriately. So node 3 enemies, let's put it under node 3. It becomes really obvious it's not in there. And what we should do is, on all of these ones that aren't node 1, we're going to actually hide the children. Hide those children.
Hide the children.
The parent transforms are going to be concerned.
Yeah.
Yes, so concerned. So we hit play now, we shoot our targets, and it advances, and then when we get to the next thing, our new target should appear. There we go. Cool.
Blah. Blah. I always think that card's going to come at you, but I know it's not.
Cool. Very cool. I'm actually curious about what would happen if we had in Node 7 after that one that we pull our camera, because we just kind of made that script happen at one point. So let's create a Node 7. Let's move it further in and rotate it that way. And let's make it so that Node 6 now connects to Node 7. So if we go to Node 7, we should see we can see our little faint green line there. Why is Node 7 so... Oh, it's because it has that special give target for real that's huge.
For realsies.
So I just want to see... Let's not have another one that looks around, because I wanted to see what happens if we go to the next node.
Oh, from where the previous node looked around?
Yeah, I'm almost certain it's going to break something, so I just want to see what type of logic we should have.
It seems
to support
like
that.
it will break something to me, too.
So expect it
shoot
to
those things.
look at Node 7 and then travel to it.
I think that probably
but
won't adjust the look.
I don't think it will look at it.
Nope.
Or it won't do anything.
I don't know. What is the player game object?
I know what happened. Our special give target for real doesn't actually have the advance on no children aspect, so we need to actually set this up as advance on no children. And if we hit play now, it should work.
Trying it again.
Almost certain we're just going to be our head tilted.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think,
we're just going to
too.
move into the right position, but not tilt our head down.
Player node movement?
Player node movement is what does all the movement logic. Other than the looking. Yep, there we go.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So, but if we put our look script on the same node that we're looking at there, what is that gonna do? Node 7, how we aren't looking at a node. What if we do look at a node?
Well, if we look at the node, it's going to look down at the node. So that's not going to solve our problem. So the is our player typically driving with the nodes, but our camera is what we have to drive when we do a look, right?
Uh-huh.
And so our camera needs to actually do a return to our forward-facing. And so we should do that in our first section of node movement.
I mean, we could basically store that variable somewhere, right?
Yeah.
what its position was like, and then we can use that.
Well, I mean, we don't even have to store it. We can just return it back to, because it should be zeroed out, right?
Oh,
it should
yeah.
be just rotation should be 0, 0, 0 across the board.
Good
So,
call.
so let's do that. So, when we do rotate to goal the first time, initial rotation, we look in the direction of the new thing.
We might not necessarily want it to be 0, 0, 0, though, if the previous node had us looking up. And then if we were to, like, run alongside something, like if you were running alongside a semi-truck and there were people on top of it, then you'd have nodes moving along it with the character looking up at it.
That's a good point.
Yeah, right now we don't support strafing at all. So, let's add a text document. Let's see what we want to do. That's not what I want. I just want text. Is there just a text in here?
It's just text
Is there
and
some sort
It's
of
not
text?
binary.
It's
All
like,
right,
give me
fine. We'll do it the getaway. So
some
C# script,
binary.
and all
I'll
I'm
try
going to
this
do is
in
I'm going to find
binary.
this in the Finder. We're going to rename it to notes.txt. Use text. So we're going to go into notes, and we're going to get rid of all this stuff that looks like code.
Oh,
And
That isn't.
so
poor code.
currently node system supports does not support strafing. Do we want strafing? Likewise, this may affect how we want to handle returning the view. I don't want to handle returning the view. So we could do this in an explicit method.
It supports strafing if we have the camera look in a way that's completely opposite where we're going to move.
This is true. And we might actually be able to leverage that.
But do we want to? Because doing stuff like that is where it gets kind of messy.
Maybe not, though. I mean, like, maybe that is the better way to handle it, because so there's a few ways you could do kind of an explicit method, right? Where each node, like currently our goal nodes have a look direction, so that instead of looking towards the goal, we look in the direction that the goal is. And so that means if we want to walk forward, we'd have to have an additional node immediately after our current node that rotates us in the direction of travel. And so that's more nodage. I don't really like that. So
Wait, what do you mean? We're already rotating it.
that's what I'm saying is we'd turn that off.
Oh,
We would,
okay.
we'd instead of, like, right now, if we have this node facing, say we had both these facing the exact same direction, like say this was rotated 90 degrees, so these both face the same direction. Right now our logic is we look at the next node and walk towards it and then rotate into the position. We could change that logic so that it just is like, oh, let's rotate to the goal rotation, so it'll be the same rotation, and then just slide us over. But the problem with that is if we want a straight move, we have to add an additional node that faces the direction of travel first, and then we move to the next node. And I don't really like that solution. This is the thing with games, is there's a lot of ways we can do things, and different ways have different strengths and weaknesses. So, what are we doing? So there's the current thing, which is if we have a look hint that actually rotates our view, we actually get strafing behavior automatically. I think that may be the better way to go, honestly.
We could have the movement script, or we could have movement scripts instead and have that on the node that has the script, like advance or something. and use inheritance on the different types of movement scripts so they all have the same base movement script type, and have the advance on no children or advance on time or something.
This is way more complexity than I would ever use in my own project right there. Like, that is the honest truth. But yes, we absolutely could do that. We could basically create a base action called player movement. We could then have different types of those movements, but then we'd have to associate those movements with the player, because right now player movement is actually just node movement is just something that's owned by the player, right? And so if we had multiple types of these, what we'd really want is, so we'd have like the player movement thing, and it would contain a node movement. And then that node movement class could have subclasses that have different behaviors, like you're saying. It might be a way to go.
Cinecat says, add as a feature, toggle is your friend per node toggle.
Yeah, per node toggle, we can do that. That was so it's like look towards node as a toggle on the nodes. Mm-hmm. This makes the nodes less generic. It's not a big deal. We could just call them like movement nodes, and then have that functionality built in. What I think I'd like to do is, so the reason I like to keep things as sparse as possible with scripts is because it allows us more flexibility ultimately later when we want to change things around. So I'm actually going to keep with the methodology we've been doing now, and so instead of having something where we explicitly rotate the camera, let's make the camera rotation as part of a script that is instantiated at nodes as needed. So that's basically what we did with the special give target for real here. We do a look at thing. So this might not work either, because we want the rotation to happen when we move to the next node, and we currently don't do an instantiation at the start of a node, so we can't do a rotate back.
Silence is deafening.
Yeah. Node 6, next node 7. Alright, let's do it.
Not to be confused with mode 7.
Let's do it. Let's just add a friggin' thingy. Not node movement. We want node.
Mode 7.
Let's try it. Let's see what artifacts this creates that we don't like or do like. So,
yeah, I mean,
public bool, reset camera, and we'll do that in node movement. Alright, so let's create a reference to our camera. So public game object camera. Actually, camera, is that a built-in camera? It is. Let's not do that. Head.
Whoa.
Alright, public game object head.
Can you lose your head?
Possibly. So current node equals next node. Start routine, rotate to goal. If initial goal rotation.
Mm-hmm.
So let's make sure that reset camera starts at false equals false as a default. And what we would do here is during the initial rotation, goal rotation. How do we do look at me? Okay, it just creates a separate. separate coroutine. All right, so let's create a quaternion. Actually, we'll just do. We know what we want. We want quaternion.identity. So, while transform.rotation equals quaternion.rotate towards, and then we'll do if current node dot what do we call it? Reset camera. So if current node dot reset camera, then we will do current node dot reset camera. We want
do a look at.
Yeah, we want to do
Is it quaternion look? Or-
head dot rotation. Sorry, we'll do a transform. Game object transform head. So we'll do head dot rotation equals. We're gonna model it after this. Except for this one, we're going to be using head dot rotation, and the goal rotation will be quaternion dot identity. So if transform dot rotation does not equal goal rotation, and head if let's see, So and where do we have this? Current node dot reset camera and head dot rotation equals does not equal rotate towards quaternion identity. And then we need to put these in parentheses. So let's read this out and see if this makes sense. So if transform.rotation does not equal goal group rotation, and current node dot reset camera. Oh wait, yeah, this will work, right? Because booleans we can just explicitly say that, right?
Yeah, it'll work.
Yes.
All right.
You can say equals true if you want to be
Really
more clear that it's a
clear
Boolean check.
Let's do it. So if reset camera is true and head rotation does not equal quaternion identity, so if this is false, this will fall through. Oh wait, no, but if it's false, then this won't work at all, right? So let's just do it as a separate if statement.
There's a question here. Have you guys ever made tutorials on save games? I don't think we really did very much.
We did.
Maybe a little
what
bit.
project? The best example is probably in From Scratch to Published, so check in there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We did. We used saves for the high score. It's really basic data, but it's just using the player pref system, which is actually pretty versatile.
You can save that outside the player prefs too, can't you?
Well, I mean,
If you wanted to.
I mean, you can totally save it into files and stuff, but I recommend, unless you have special use cases, player prefs is actually pretty great. The only special limitations that you should keep in mind is on web. If you're targeting web, your player prefs cannot exceed, I think, 1 megabyte, which you can actually store quite a bit of data in there. But if you're making like an RPG, you're going to have to create a separate file somewhere.
So silly considering that we used to.
Well, actually, no. No, that's not true because, like, okay, let's be honest here. Final Fantasy VII, the save files were 8K each.
Yeah, exactly.
And
that's
it saves
Final
the
Fantasy VII.
Boolean state of every single treasure chest in the game. It saves the state of every single item that you have in your inventory, and it saves the state of where you are in the game, every single trigger in the game.
You can fit a lot in bits.
Yeah, you can.
You can fit a lot in
You really can.
hexadecimal, too. It's amazing.
So, was it 8 or 16K? I think it was 8. It was 8K,
It was 8.
8K a block, right? Yeah, and it was a 1-block game, right? Yeah.
It's called
But if you're trying to
serialization.
save like an
C-sharp.
image or
Yeah, if you're trying to
Dash or
save like,
something
oh
that
yeah,
someone
that'll
generated,
blow
that's
your
what's going
yeah,
to
that'll blow
make
you
it
away immediately.
really hard to use.
Yeah, exactly.
It's called serialization in C#, also called Google Player. That's what Cinecat said.
Yep.
That helpful Cinecat.
So we could have what was on the line before and just add
If So,
Yeah, we can. If it's false or it's that thing.
oh, even better. I like that. If this is false, and or, wait, so it's false.
Or the head rotation.
But wait, no, that won't be right because then if it's, oh wait, okay, yeah, no, that's right. Let's try that.
Or the head rotation is identity.
equal to identity in this case.
Oh, why would we want that?
Well, because
We don't want to yield
Because
return
then
null
it's-
in that case then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay.
So, is this right? I don't know. Let's see what this does. I don't think this is right, but let's give it a shot. Oh yeah, we need to actually set one of these nodes to reset. So, which one do we want it on? We want it on node 6 or node 7.
Node 7 is the one after.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Let's try that.
We want the whole thing in the first. Oh no, that will.
Things looking good so far. Oh, yep. Variable of head node movement has not been assigned. Oh, yeah. That's my fault. So on player, we've got to actually assign the head. So we're going to put main camera into the head. And we're going to hit play. And let's see what it does this time.
Doing it again. Here we go. Walking down the road. Throwing pool cues at big targets. They're cue balls, right?
Yep. That looked right.
Seemed like it worked.
Yeah, that seems like it
Those
works.
balls just rolling down
Go
the left
Jeffrey.
side.
Go Jeffrey.
Yeah.
So in the case that reset camera is true, that means we yield return null always? Wait.
If reset camera is true, then we check to make sure that head rotation is not at identity yet.
Ah, got you.
And if it's false, then we skip
Then we
that
always
entirely.
do yield return null, which then, okay. So yeah, that's right. That's right. That's cool. All right, cool. We got to reset the system in.
Now we got this thing working again.
So now, if we wanted to do
Plus.
a strafing thing, we don't actually have to explicitly create a strafing scenario. We can actually get fancy with our look at stuff. So what we could do is, if we wanted to strafe across during that last sequence here and then reset later, we could turn off the reset on node 7 first. And we could go to node 6, and we should make this actually not facing what we want to look at, and then we just use the lookout script to look at it. And then on node 7, we want this to also be facing the same direction. And in theory, we should do kind of a strafe move after looking at our new target that appears. So let's see how this looks. Oh, well, that's because I rotated it, so it changed where it was at. So we did a strafe move. Cool.
Yep.
All right, cool. So if we rotate this 90 degrees, it'll look back where we were, I think. Let's just see if this actually makes it so that it was in the position that we were in before. And then after this, let's do one quick wait to advance at the end, and where we reset the camera.
That looked... Yeah, that worked.
Cool. So let's do one more node. We're just going to do node 7, just duplicate this thing. We're going to move it forward to there. We're going to make we're going to call it node 8. We're going to make it reset the camera. We're going to put node 8 into node 7 as the target. And,
Is that it?
No, and then we want the advancement to not be based on... We want it to be based on time. So we want to do advance after delay, so we're just going to create an empty child.
Oh.
Advance after delay on here.
At least empty child.
I'm going to set the delay to 2. This is true.
That is true.
Unless we rip them away.
Oh. Do we want to
and
disable that game object?
We just disable this, yep. Okay. So now if we hit play...
But then they're not empty children anymore. They're just empty.
Alright.
Oh, really? The player prefs uses an XML style to store everything?
1001, 1002. So we advanced, but it didn't reset, it looked like.
Can you go back to that script?
Sure. Which script? This one?
Yeah, we always want to yield return null if the goal rotation is not the transform dot rotation.
And we do. Because if we...
We only do it if this if statement is also
Oh, okay.
true. So I think these two things should be in ORs with the parent if statement.
Okay.
All three of them in one big OR.
Okay.
Oops. So they along these lines?
Oh wait. Actually, I'm not sure that that does it either.
Let's see. Let's just see what it does. Guess and check. Educated guess and check. Okay, well, we broke something.
Yeah, clearly.
So if it's not the goal rotation, then we want to return
Alright, actually what we want to do is we want to do this. Here, let's undo, bring this back as an if statement. So what we actually want to do is we want to put this in here, in the else. Else break. And we get rid of this statement, and we get rid of whatever we did up here. So now, if we're not at the goal rotation, we yield return null. If we are at the goal rotation, if we're still not rotated, our head rotated in, then we rotate our head.
So we want to
yield return null here. And then if we're at the final position for our head, we're done.
On a break.
So
break.
And so if we get to the final rotation for our head early, this will immediately break. So that'll be good. That'll work.
I was just always like when I see break there, I'm always like 3, 2, 1, break. Like everyone's gonna go on an adventure. Let's go.
I screwed it up still. It's true. Let's try that, even though that really should be kind of the same thing, shouldn't it? Maybe. Let's find out.
Did you do is true and?
Yeah. There we go. So that part's working. Let's see if the resetting was working. And we reset.
Wow, cool.
Cool. Alright. It's a wrap. Save scene, save project.
That's a wrap.
Yep. So this scene is,
Wrap.
if you're looking for it, it's sample
Wiki,
in
wiki.
Unity set builder here. And yeah. So let's do it. Sweet. Save scene, save project.
Sweet.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Hopefully you had a great time. I know that we did, and hopefully there wasn't too much radio silence on this episode. But I think it was appropriate thinking time. Sometimes you just have to shut up and think.
Yep.
So thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, please email me pushypixels@pushypixels.com. You can also tweet me at Drakfire. That's DRAKFYRE. You should buy Phil's game. It's called Robot Alone. It's awesome.
I worked on it. It's a game. I made it. It's true. I made it. You can follow me on Twitter. It's twitter.com. It's at magmalemur. I've been doing playthroughs. You could look at those on the YouTubes if you really like to. But you know what? More importantly, you should donate to Cooking with Unity. That's what you should do. You should just click on the little link.
Yeah, there's a
donate.
Patreon link, or you can go to Patreon and search for Cooking with Unity, or the link is in the little burger thing that is not on the page you're looking at right now. Probably it's on like the main YouTube page, or maybe it's on your page if you're like on a mobile device. I have no idea. Like I don't know how any of this stuff works. YouTube's
It's a thing.
So thank you very much for joining us, and you guys have a fantastic evening. I'll catch you in the morning with some more breakfast with Unity. Thank you very much, and you guys have a great one.
Have a good night.
Good night.